Thank you.
Okay, I'm allowing people, David, to come in.
Uh-oh, now we have a list of registrations
Oh,
being
oops.
shared.
Sorry, just a moment. Wrong screen.
There we
Is
go.
it still, is it back
Now it's
okay?
better.
Seems like, okay, admit all. Okay, 50 people
Great.
coming.
Welcome, people. Good to have you
Thank
here.
you. Good to be here. Cool. And how many of us will be here, hopefully?
That's a great question. We need 60 something for a quorum,
Hmm?
and we have 200 and some registered.
We have 62.
62 so far.
So good.
Good to see your faces, those of you who are willing to share. Makes me happy to see you from all over the place. Some of you are even on mountain time. Thank you. And as it says on the screen, now's a good time to rename yourself if that's a thing that you can easily do, to grab a cup of coffee, maybe a pencil, cup of water. Mute yourself. We'll be muted for most of the meeting.
Did that come through?
Hard to answer questions. We're letting people in. If you have technical questions, the chat is a good place. If you need your voting member handbook, it looks like Pastor Eppelsheimer has put that in the chat. Thank you for that. If you'd like me to rename you, happy to do that too. Still letting folks in, but we're getting close. Welcome if you just entered. Love to see where you're from. And mute yourself. Make sure you mute yourself.
This is set up because the way it's hooked up with this, the sound always goes through this thing.
We're up to 122. Welcome, folks. Really good to see you. Now I see we have someone from almost the California border. Welcome, Anne Marie. I love that we have some people gathered together. Welcome, Roseburg. Roseburg is in the house. Okay, we'll keep letting people in, but why don't we start? If you're willing to share your screen, we always love that, but there's no pressure. If you're in jammies and you'd just rather drink cocoa, that's great too. I would love to welcome you to this year's online Synod Assembly. I'm really excited for what we have planned today. I'm grateful that you're here. My name is Bishop Lori Larson Caesar. I'm grateful for the generosity of time and mind and heart that you're offering today so that we can tend to the life of our synod. Let's start our day with a land acknowledgement, recognizing that The land that you all are standing on is the entire state of Oregon and Tule Lake, California. So Oregon and Northern California have been home to over 50 indigenous tribes and bands with their own unique languages, cultures, and lifeways. These cultures continue into today. Speaking the truth in love, as Scripture calls us to do, we name the truth that harmful and systemic policies of genocide, relocation, and assimilation still impact and harm many indigenous people today. As settlers and guests on these lands across the state of Oregon and into Northern California, we respect the work of Native leaders and families and pledge to make ongoing efforts to recognize their knowledge, creativity, and resilience. The Oregon Synod accepts responsibility to continue to learn about the continuing impact of our history on these communities, to unlearn patterns of white supremacy and displacement, and to encourage a culture of not just acknowledgement, but action toward racial justice. So thanks again for being here today. Let's take a breath. Fill ourselves with that Holy Spirit, Holy Ruach, Holy Wind, and let's pray. Life-giving God, gatherer of our dreams, you set the countless stars in place and found room for each of them to shine. Help each of us to shine. Remind us that we are workers in your vineyard, your field, your sky, with various calls and gifts and passions. Teach us to number our days and apply our hearts and minds to wisdom so that our lives reflect your glory, your wisdom. Bless the work of our hands through your child, Jesus the Christ. Amen. I now declare this assembly to be in session in the name of the triune God, creator, liberator, and sustainer. Welcome to the officially open 2026 Oregon Synod Assembly. Our theme this year, as you undoubtedly know, comes to us from Revelation 22:2. On either side of the river was the tree of life, and the leaves of the tree were for the healing of the nations. My prayer is that you experience this assembly as a small moment of connection, of hope, and of shared venture in the name of Jesus, whose Spirit is with us as we gather. This year, as you know, we're trying a very simplified meeting at which we plan a few actions: to vote, to adopt the order of assembly or the agenda, to vote on the rules of the assembly, and if those are accepted, cast an in-meeting ballot on the remaining business. This business will include votes on resolutions presented from among you, a budget for fiscal year 2027, mandatory changes to the Constitution from our recent ELCA Churchwide Assembly, and candidates for Synod Council and other committee positions. Discussions on the resolutions and budget took place at the April pre-sessions, and materials on candidates and constitutional changes are in your handbook. A link to that handbook is in the chat. So we won't be repeating that here today. Before we start the business, let's establish our quorum and talk about the details of how we will be conducting business. I invite Synod Vice President Paul Stromberg to the floor.
Thank you, Bishop Lori. Welcome, everybody. I'd like to talk about some important elements for our meeting. This assembly, first of all, is being recorded and for record-keeping purposes, and will be shared on the Oregon Synod YouTube page for you to review and share with your congregation following the event. Our deadline for submission of resolutions was March 13th. A significant amount of work was done by the Reference and Council Committee, the authors, and you at our session on April 9th going over the proposed resolutions. Our rules of assembly do allow for resolutions to be received after March 13th, but they must pass a pretty high bar. They will not be accepted for consideration unless 2/3 of the Reference and Council Committee or the Synod Council determines that the resolution will not have a fiscal impact and is one, of overriding importance, or two, addresses a previously accepted resolution. At this time, we have not received any since the March 13th deadline. To be sure, is there anyone planning on filing a resolution or memorial at this time? If so, please let our leaders know in the chat. As Bishop Laurie had already mentioned, please take a minute to ensure your name, congregation, town, and pronouns are accurate and present in your participant name. A reminder of how to do that, you scroll to your image and click on the three little dots. They're usually in the upper right corner. Click rename from the drop-down list and enter your name, congregation location, and pronouns. If you have questions during the meeting about the meeting, we invite you to enter them in the Q&A. This is located in the toolbar on your screen, found by clicking the three dots /more. Going forward, the chat will only be used for requesting to speak to business. We will be conducting business by using the Zoom polls. This means that a box should pop up each time we call for a vote. You will have 30 seconds to reply unless otherwise stated. We will only be using the chat now for being recognized to speak to business. Everyone is automatically muted in the meeting, and in discussion, participants will be unmuted as needed once recognized by the chair. To be recognized by the chair, click on the Raise Your Hand button in the toolbar, click on the reactions, then Raise Hand. Then type in the chat box your purpose, such as motion, discussion, request for information, or point of order. We will recognize speakers in the order in which they appear in the chat box, except that privileged motions, such as point of order, will be given priority. If a motion is under consideration, once you raise your hand, indicate in the chat box whether you are speaking for or speaking against. You will have up to 3 minutes to speak once recognized. Once recognized, please begin by introducing yourself by sharing your full name and name of your congregation. When your 3 minutes are up, you will automatically be muted. Efforts will be made to alternate speakers on different sides of the issue. Following Robert's Rules of Order, once 3 people in a row have spoken either for or against a motion, the chair may end debate. Let's review and practice the voting method we will be using this morning. We will vote using Zoom polling. I will ask a question and a poll will appear. You have 30 seconds to respond, longer for the final ballot. Which of these people would you choose to preach at your home congregation this Sunday? The question is now on the floor before you. Okay, well, the poll is now closed. The results are 36% of you would want to have Ruth be your preacher. 29 would want Esther. 19 would want John. 13% Moses, and 3 of you abstained.
Thank you, Paul. Let's now establish if we have a quorum present to do business.
Okay. The credential report of registered voting members. First of all, we have 68% lay persons, 32% rostered minister, 40% are men, 56% women, 4% are gender expansive. We need a total of 65 people to have a quorum, and we have at this present 166 that are eligible, and so therefore we have a quorum.
Okay, a call to establish quorum. We don't need to establish quorum because we've already done that, yes?
Right. So all that was
Okay, I declare that a quorum exists and we are properly constituted. So now let's return to the business of the assembly. The first item of business before we can do anything else is we must adopt the rules for ourselves. So the rules of assembly come from the Synod Council and do not, because of that, require a second. The proposed rules, oh dear. The proposed rules of assembly, I should have printed it out, I'm so sorry. Finding my way. There we go. The proposed rules of assembly were published online, as most of you know. They were both on the Oregon Synod website and shared via email with you on May 16th. I hope you've all had time to review them. I will remind us that if the rules are adopted, we will be moving into a poll on the remaining business and then completing the meeting for this year. If the rules are not adopted, we will need to do a few things. Close this meeting, rewrite the rules of assembly, plan new materials, and create a new voting member meeting for 2026. This will postpone the completion of today's business to another date in 2026. Because they come from the Synod Assembly, I invite, before we vote, our Synod Vice President, Paul Stromberg, to speak to the rules.
As you know, we currently are on a 3-year cycle for our Oregon Synod Assembly. We have 2 years online and 1 in person. After our last online assembly, we received a lot of feedback that doing a 6 or 7 hour Zoom on a Saturday was, quite frankly, very painful. And was there another way we could do the online assembly? So we took that to heart, and we started probably about 10 months ago to try and come up with an alternative way to have an online assembly. We decided after a lot of thought to break it up into several short sessions and ultimately to have 1 short voting session. Traditionally, our assembly follows Robert's Rules of Order. A key purpose of using Robert's Rules while conducting business is to allow space for all voices to be heard and for collective discernment to take place on important topics. We wanted to craft a process that honors that collective discernment, but that it might look a little different. The purpose of the April session was to make space for that discernment, deliberation, and consideration. We had sessions on the proposed budget and the 2 resolutions, and they were very interactive events. People had a chance to ask questions and give suggestions. We did not have sessions on the Constitution because all the changes on that are mandatory, and we didn't have a session on the candidates for the various positions because they're all running unopposed, and the biographical information is in the handbook. We did receive feedback from that process, and it was overwhelmingly positive. The Synod office staff and the council then has carefully crafted the rules of assembly over many hours and months and deliberation. If the rules of the assembly are adopted, the rest of our meeting will not follow Robert's Rules of Order. It turns out this is an option that our Constitution allows us, and we reviewed that through the Synod Council, our bishop, the churchwide lawyer in Chicago, and our parliamentarian. Since we already have hosted discussion and discernment space in the April sessions and made space for feedback on both the budgets and resolutions, we will not be moving or revisiting discussion of the proposed business. Instead, we'll move straight to voting. We'll be voting on the budget, proposed constitutional changes, 2 resolutions, and electing the open positions. There will be an opportunity to comment on how well this process worked in a post-assembly questionnaire. And this is really important. We know this is a different process than we've done before, and we really, really want your feedback. So look for that in your inbox in June, and please take time to complete it.
Thank you, Paul. Is there any other speaking to the rules of assembly? We'll look for the hands raised. Pastor Chris Kramer.
I'm Chris Kramer, Nativity Lutheran Church in Bend. I speak against the approval of the rules as presented. I do so because the Synod Assembly and our Constitution is to be the highest legislative authority of the Synod. Highest legislative authority means work done by us, the gathered assembly, is the highest authority. In this experimental process brought to us this year by the Senate Council, the highest legislative authority has shifted from us, the elected assembly members, to the authors of the resolutions and the Reference and Counsel Committee. We are reduced to becoming voters. We're no longer legislators. Before us today are budgets and resolutions that are legislated by others who are functionally under this model. They are now the highest legislative authority of the Oregon Synod. These rules place us outside of the Constitution. I move that we amend the rules, Section 6, to strike all text within the section that follows the first complete sentence, beginning with the word if. We have other options that we can use if we wish to reduce the work and cost of gathering in our full calling. This experiment is a departure. I don't think it's safe for us.
Thank you, Pastor. Can you place your amendment in the chat box, please? It has been moved that we accept an amendment to the rules of assembly, and this motion requires a second. Is there a second?
I, Scott Cooper from Our Saviors in Prineville, second.
Okay, thank you. It's been moved and seconded that we amend our rules of assembly. Is the presentation in the chat box?
Working on it.
Okay.
Chat is disabled.
Chat is disabled.
We have to raise hands because we don't have a ballot.
But how can he get us the written?
Yeah, we'll open up the chat. But I'm just saying,
We'll open the
when it
chat.
comes time to vote, you'll have to teach people to raise.
Right, yeah. Okay, so we're gonna open up the chat so that you can get that in there. And then in order to have a debate, what we'll do, one second.
Sorry.
What we'll do is raise our electronic hands. And the reason we'll use those is that we can get the exact order of people raising their hands. As you raise your hand, though, make sure that you put in the chat whether you are speaking for this amendment or against this amendment. It's important for the sake of fairness for the debate that we have a back and forth, for and against. Okay, so let's figure out and make sure that everybody can find their raised hand feature. The hand raising and other icons are on the bottom of your screen. Sometimes if you don't see the raise hand feature right beneath you, you might have to click on the three dots and then you should see the ability to raise hands.
The chat has been enabled for everyone.
Who shall I send this to, Bishop?
The chat's open, so you can put it in the chat now. Oh, okay. So a point of order, Scott Cooper says, my screen does not have a raised hand option, nor is there such an option in the, yeah, other people are seeing that too. So we might have to use one of the other tools.
It sometimes it's under the little heart that says react at the bottom, and you have to click on that, and within
Oh,
the,
thank you, Paul. Charlotte, Scott, are you seeing that under the little heart? All the different reaction options? I see lots of people finding it. Okay, so it looks like people are seeing the raised hands. I'm looking in the chat to make sure that I can see the proposed amendment.
I'm not seeing the proposed amendment in chat.
It's coming.
It's coming, okay.
Oh.
This is good. We can practice using our other reactions under the heart button. Looks like lots of us are getting practice in that. If you have a point of order or some other thing, you can raise your hand and then place what you would like to address. There are only certain things that can interrupt the debate on the item on the floor, which is this proposed amendment. So those of you who are raising your hand, let me know if it's a point of order or a point of clarification. And maybe as you are proposing this, Pastor Kramer, you could read it for us too. That'll help us process.
The amendment is very simple. I move to amend the rules, section 6, to strike all text within the section that follows the first complete sentence, beginning with the word if. In other words, section 6 is rather a lengthy portion of the rules. There's a long paragraph. The amendment proposes to retain only the first complete sentence of that paragraph.
Okay, would you do us a favor and read section 6 as it stands, and then section 6 as you would propose it?
As it stands, it reads as follows. There will be a business meeting for voting members at 9:30 on May 30th to establish quorum, vote on the agenda and the rules of the assembly following Robert's Rules of Order. If the rules of assembly are adopted, the rest of the meeting will not follow Robert's rules as in an option to state the rules of the assembly according to the Synod Constitution, close parentheses. We will immediately proceed to a ballot vote for all items. Since the purpose of using Robert's rules while voting is to allow for discernment, and we already have made these spaces in the sessions, we will not be moving or revisiting discernment of the proposed business, but will move straight into voting on the budget, proposed constitutional changes, resolutions, and electing for open positions via a ballot. The meeting will be adjourned when voting is complete. If the rules of assembly are not adopted, we will continue to use Robert's rules to address each piece of business separately, with motions speaking against and for, etc., until business is complete or postponed. My amendment would simply read as follows. Section 6, online meeting and voting. There will be a business meeting for voting members at 9:30 on May 30th to establish quorum, vote on the agenda and the rules of the assembly following the Robert's Rules of Order, period. The rest of the rules stay intact, which would force us back into parliamentary procedure in which we would be able to debate, amend, table, and legislate.
Thank you. So now, if you would like to speak to that amendment, both raise your electronic hand and place in the chat if you are speaking for or against this proposed amendment.
A point of order, Madam Chairman.
Yes.
I still cannot raise my hand. I cannot participate. I don't think I think that throws us out of compliance with Robert's Rules of Order if we can't all vote.
Have you tried the heart button in
Yes.
the 3 dots and you still can't get a raised hand?
There is no opportunity for doing that in the React button. It is play chime for raised hands or recognize hand gestures. That's it.
Okay. So it's tricky to recognize physical raised hands, but there might be a few people for whom we need to do that.
Bishop, I would point out that I think that like Scott, you might be clicking on the arrow next to react. That's where it says play chime or recognize hand gestures. If you click on the heart itself, you'll see a big box pop up with a bunch of options.
Aha.
The big button that says raise hand.
Oh, I'm so glad for you, Victoria Hart, our secretary. Thank you. Thank you. So let's see who has raised hands and if people have placed for or against in the chat. I don't see anyone who's placed speaking for or speaking against in the chat. Against. Okay. Yes.
Bishop Laurie,
Help me.
Don,
Yes.
Don Senesael put in the chat speaking for.
Okay. Why can't I see that? You might have to help me.
It's before Pastor Chris's amendment in.
Oh, got it. Okay. So let me scroll up there. It's not letting me scroll very easily. Don Senecal speaking for. Okay, Don, if you would share your name, your congregation, and I think you have 2 minutes to speak for this amendment. We are speaking on the amendment, not the rules.
Thank you, Bishop. Don Senecal, Nativity Lutheran, Bend, Oregon. I'm speaking in favor of this amendment. I believe that part of the kerfuffle that most of this country is facing right now is based on the attempts to find ways around proper legislation and proper conversation. And I'm in great favor of open and fair exchanges of thoughts and opinions before a decision is made. And I know that there has been an honest effort. Thank you for trying to realize that time is precious for people. But I don't believe that the people here would have signed up for for participating in this without some realization that it would take some kind of a sacrifice of time and effort in order to come to a concerted and fair decision. So thank you.
Thank you, Don. Is there any other speaking to the amendment itself? Someone had something in there, but it went away.
Bishop Laura, I believe I put 4 in the chat. I'm not sure if it's visible to you.
It isn't, but please, if you're the next one, does it look like you're the next one as you see the chat?
I have no idea.
Okay, Pastor Hartwig, please speak against this amendment.
4. I'm speaking for. Do you want to call on me?
For. Yeah, well, let's see if
Is
there's
there anybody who's
against.
against?
Okay, the floor is yours.
Okay.
Please share your name and your congregation.
Thank you, Bishop Laurie. I'm Pastor Robin Hartwig with Spirit of Grace Church in Beaverton. I want to start by thanking everybody who has had anything to do with this new creative model of offering a Synod Assembly. I appreciate the concern for time. I appreciate the concerns for costs when we gather in person. And if ever there were a time in the history of our church where we need to try to be doing some creative and bold new things that we've never done before, this is it. So thank you so much. The one piece that I've been aware of from the beginning that feels like it has been gotten lost amidst all of the good things that are happening is the ability for us to engage in democratic process as church. And particularly, I've been aware that we've been invited to give feedback, but at no point to be the ones ourselves who are amending or voting in favor of changes to particular resolutions that are coming before us. And that has weighed heavily on my heart, because if ever there were a time in our church or in our country where I feel we need to be modeling and practicing every single aspect of democratic process anywhere that we can, it is this moment right now. There are many countries around the world where people are invited to vote yes or no. And that's all they get to do. Other people are the ones who are deciding what they will vote on and whether there are any amendments or considerations that are made to change something. We have been fortunate to live in a country and a church where we get to have the fuller range of democratic practice, and we get to elect people from our congregations to serve in this once a year, very important work of the Synod. And I do think it's worth some extra time. I speak in for with hesitation now, because I realize we are in a situation where we have worship at 10:30 a.m. And so I'm hesitant to myself to change it right now, or whether we put this for a very significant consideration going forward. And if this were to pass, I myself would be very judicious in raising my hand again to add any more time to the assembly, given the constraints that we're under with worship at 10:30 a.m. Thank you so much for hearing this concern, and thank you to Pastor Kramer and our previous speaker as well for bringing these concerns forward for all of us.
Thanks, Pastor. I see hands raised in this order. Mark Knutson, Rebecca H., Nancy M., Chloe, and Kay. And it's my responsibility that we have someone now speaking on the other side of this amendment. Those are not the right number. Those are not the right names. Okay.
Looks like
Okay.
at least, sorry.
Okay, it's changed. Some people are changing their hands, so that's okay. So Claire's the next one. Claire Johannes from Zion Port Orford. Are you speaking for or against this amendment?
I'm speaking for.
Okay. We need to find someone speaking against, so hold that thought.
I see a
Then-
Robert Morris in the part of the chat, or sorry, Andrew Morris.
Yes,
him
but
hand
let me
raised to
make
speak
sure
against.
he has, Andrew, you have to raise your electronic hand. And
It's
he's down
raised.
there. He's on the list.
My-
How about Linda?
Oh,
Linda,
my,
Andrew, Linda, are you speaking for or against? Linda Seals, Milwaukee. Are you speaking for or against this amendment?
I think I'm speaking for.
Okay, hold that thought. We'll get back to you. Rebecca Wurtzer, Maxburg, for or against?
I'm speaking for.
Okay, thank you. MRJOH, for or against?
For.
Okay. Nancy McDonald, for or against?
I even forget, but I think I voted for this.
Okay, hold that thought.
Hang on a second. I put against.
You're
Sorry.
speaking against the amendment, the proposed change?
Yes, I like
Okay.
this. I like this format. So is that what you?
Yes,
like?
yes. So you have 2 minutes.
I have 2 minutes. Also,
And introduce yourself if you would, your name and your
My
congregation.
name is Nancy MacDonald. I go to Trinity Lutheran Church in Gresham, of course. And I just think, as I was reading through the materials, I liked the idea that I had time to think about things and to, maybe investigate things. I liked the format because it had a lot of information. So I know going into the meeting what we're going to talk about. The only thing I would say, though, I got the notice for the April, the session where you're supposed to, talk things out. I didn't get that till late. So I will write that, that I would like that change. But that's why I voted
Fantastic.
against the amendment. Okay.
Thank you, Nancy.
You're welcome.
Chloe, oh, now we go back to the top. And our first person who is still in the list speaking for this proposed amendment, Linda Seals. Please introduce yourself. You have the floor.
I really don't have anything to add. I just
would you introduce yourself? Would you share your name?
Milwaukee Lutheran Church. I really don't have anything else to add.
Okay, okay, thank you. So going down to people who have not spoken yet. Chloe, I've asked before. Kaylo, would you be speaking for or against this proposed amendment?
I would be speaking for.
Okay. How about Scott Cooper?
Very simply, as
Wait, are
far
you
as I
speaking?
know,
I need you to tell
I'm
me if you're
sorry,
speaking for or
I'm
against
speaking
this
for
amendment.
the
Okay,
amendment.
hold that thought. Andrew Morris, I think you posted in the chat, you're speaking against the proposed amendment.
Yes, and my hand has been raised.
Yeah, yes,
Although
very
before
good.
when you said it wasn't raised, it was raised.
Oh, I apologize, Andrew. So would you
Thank
introduce
you.
yourself and the floor is yours?
Andrew Morris from Grace and Mercy in Hermiston and also on Synod Council, but I'm not speaking on behalf of Synod Council, just as a member of Grace and Mercy. Just to say that we had the April sessions where discussions happened. So we did have plenty of time for discernment and in the handbook. So I think we're coming today already prepared, or we should be coming today already prepared, knowing how to vote. Thank you.
Thank you, Andrew. So now I will return to the top of the list. It looks like Rebecca Wurtzer, you have your hand raised and you are speaking for this amendment. Is that right?
Yes, I don't have anything else to add.
Okay. Maybe we'll go with Rebecca Harms if you're speaking for, since Rebecca ceded her time. Rebecca? Rebecca Harms? Would you like to speak for this amendment?
You have to unmute yourself.
Okay, there you are. Rebecca, would you introduce yourself? You have 2 minutes.
Yeah, you're muted.
I think you can push your space bar and it'll unmute you.
Rebecca, if you push down on the space bar on your computer, that could unmute you.
Okay. Can you hear me now?
Oh, there you are, Rebecca Harms. Okay, yes. You have
Okay.
2 minutes. Introduce yourself, please.
I'm Rebecca Harms. I'm from Prince of Life Lutheran Church in Oregon City, and I am in favor. I put in the chat that I was in favor, but I did not identify myself. I think it was self-explanatory, and I think we have enough information to discern how to vote. Thank you.
Thank you, Rebecca. I am receiving word from our parliamentarian. David Swartling, would you be willing to speak to this?
Yes. Can you hear me?
Yes.
It remains unclear to me what is being deleted and what is going to continue. Paragraph 6A or paragraph 6 will include the first sentence only, but what about paragraph 7, 8, and subparagraph D? Will those remain in place?
I invite the author of this amendment to speak to the question.
As I recall, those do remain in place.
All right. Well, I would just point out that in paragraph D, resolutions and memorials will be accepted for consideration until 10 p.m. March 13, 2026. resolutions and memorials submitted by the state will be reviewed, etc. But if they're not submitted timely and the rules as you proposed an amendment to them pass, it's still going to be too late to propose a amendment or to propose a new resolution at this time.
That's why I'm amending a motion.
Okay. You're not, yes, okay. So you're
This is
clear
not a
on that.
resolution. This
You're
is an
clear on that.
amendment.
Got it. Okay.
This is an amendment which will eliminate part of paragraph 6.
That's correct.
Everything other than the first sentence.
Correct.
Okay, good. We
Thank
want
you.
it to be clear. Thank you. So I invite Chloe Halverson.
Hello, Bishop and everyone. I appreciate all the discussion that's happened. And
If you would share that your home
oh, yes,
congregation.
I'm so sorry. Salt and Light Lutheran in Portland. Acknowledging the elephant in the room that we are moving into a imperfect world of what the future looks like, and we do have to figure this out in real time. And I don't believe that there is a truly perfect solution for where we are at. I'd like to remind that this plan has been in place and clearly communicated for several months, and that there has been, and I truly believe that all the points that have been made about the value of judicial process and being able to act as legislators and not merely as voters. And I do believe the Synod has created space for that over the coming months. While I do acknowledge that there are sometimes barriers to attendance and all these sorts of things, I do believe that has been held with consideration. And if we are truly centering accessibility this year, to change and extend the format at the last moment doesn't honor those with alternative schedules or those who have already altered their schedules significantly to attend those previous sessions. Like, for example, I work in a restaurant. I work Saturdays. I have to go to work later. I requested the morning off to be here, but I have to go this afternoon. And that would limit me, and if there's a rescheduling, that's kind of another story. But that is a reality. If we're centering accessibility, those of us who don't have 9-to-5s have changed things around to be able to be here today. Although, and kind of on the other side of the coin of Robin, I do give my against with some hesitation, just because of the points that have been brought out about the value of the practice of the democratic process in the current political climate. But like I said, in this imperfect world that we're entering into, I think that previously ample space has been made to make amendments as people want. And if you look through, like, the amendments have been made.
Your 2 minutes.
Thank you.
Thank you so much, Chloe. Scott Cooper, please introduce yourself. You have 2 minutes.
Scott Cooper from Our Savior's Lutheran Church in Prineville. I want to start by just offering appreciation for the efforts to streamline this. I see the intent and the purpose, and I think that is a good thing. I do think that in this process, there is a missing element, a critical missing element, in that we had this wonderful opportunity in April to learn, discern, reflect, be together, think, all the things we'd want to do, but we did not have an opportunity for this body, the voting body, to amend the resolutions. And that would be missed if we adopt these rules, because we'll go straight to voting without an amendment process. I think that is a fatal flaw from a procedural process. So with some reluctance, I will vote for this amendment, and I would encourage the council to go back and come up with something similar that still allows for an amendment process.
Thank you, Scott. Laura Kraska Cooper, are you speaking for or against?
I am speaking for the amendment.
Hold that thought. Patty Rial, are you speaking for or against? It's hard for me to monitor both the chat and the list of raised hands, so I'm just going to ask you to unmute and speak. Patty.
I think I'm unmuted now, aren't I?
Yes.
Yeah. Okay. So I'm
Are you for or against?
Reluctantly speaking for.
Okay, hold that thought.
Against it. against it.
Against it. Okay,
Yes.
the floor is yours. Please
Um,
introduce yourself.
I think everyone has made really valid points. I think we're in a time in our country where the paranoia
Patty, I'm going to
about,
interrupt you to ask you just to repeat yourself, your congregation.
sorry,
I mean, introduce yourself.
Patty Ryle, Our Savior's Lutheran in Lake Oswego. And I think we're at a point in our country where everything that the people have said, everything has been said today is valid and has good points. I just have this little kind of old Lutheran teaching that God is in charge and the people in leadership have been selected by the people with the help of God. And so I trust that the synod who put this all together has been God-led. And so I think it's okay. Thank you.
Thank you, Patty. Back to Laura. Please
Thank you.
introduce yourself, and you have 2 minutes.
Laura Kreska Cooper, Our Savior's Lutheran Church. Disclosure, I'm a lawyer, and so I'm very conscious of process. And I believe, I'll do respect to the folks who oppose this amendment and the fact that there was a lot of discernment in April. I think of the April meetings as public hearings that might occur in the legislative process, but ultimately the decision on what the resolution should look like rests with this body. I was elected by my church, by my congregation, in order to represent and speak for our congregation. And at those meetings in April, anybody could come. It was not necessarily a representative group. Today, we know we have a representative group of all of our congregations. And for that reason, I will vote in favor of the amendment. Thank you.
Thank you, Laura. I'm looking for the raised hands and the next one on the list.
Yes.
Oh, Pastor Des Valdez, are you speaking for or against?
I'm speaking against.
Okay, the floor is yours. Please introduce yourself. You have 2 minutes.
Yeah, I'm Pastor Des Valdez from Storyline Community and Spirit of Life Lutheran Church, and I am speaking against the against the amendment. I will be just honest. My favorite part of Synod Assembly is the debate and the process that happens. I hold that process very tenderly and really love it. And just to echo what Chloe said earlier, we committed to be here for a set time today. There are so many people who are going to have time constraints. I think I'm already getting to the point where my expectation for being here was not to be here for the full day. I have other things going on later in the afternoon. We knew that this was going to be the process well in advance. And so I feel at this point to introduce this kind of change to the process feels disrespectful of the time of the people who committed to be here. I know some of you are very locked in and ready to be here for a long process. And normally I would be as well, but I am not prepared for that today. And so I am against the amendment for that reason. Thank you.
Thank you, Pastor. It looks like the next speaker is for the amendment. So Linda, please introduce yourself and the floor is yours.
Are you calling on me again?
Yes, yes. The floor is yours. Please introduce yourself.
Linda Seals from Milwaukee Lutheran Church. After my initial yes vote on this and hearing from other people, I am going to change my vote to no.
Okay, so that was speaking against the proposed amendment.
Against.
Okay.
Bishop, if I could just interject really quick, because I don't know if you're watching the chat. We have a couple point of orders that are trying to get heard and haven't been seen. So
thank you.
Yeah.
Yeah. Good. So let me look at those. It's hard to monitor both well. Points of order. Scrolling. Oh, Pastor Ron Werner, you have a question?
Yeah, thank you, Bishop. Pastor Ron Werner, Together Lab. I know there was a part of the process included discernment around the resolutions and the budget, but I'm curious if there was an opportunity in the process at all to amend the rules of the assembly itself, which is what we're discussing right now. So
yeah,
I'm just trying to better understand if this is if there were opportunities to do this part before this moment, or this was really the only moment.
that's a great question. There were pre-sessions that looked at the resolutions, a pre-session that looked at the budget. There was no formal moment to give feedback on the rules. People had them in their inboxes. They could have raised questions with the council, but there was no formal window of time to offer explicit feedback on the rules.
So we could give feedback, but we could not have voted on changing the rules or offered
That's right.
amendments.
That's
okay,
right.
Just double checking. Thank you.
Yes. Okay, back to participants. Is the next person, Erica is also Pastor Erica Spate, against the proposed changes. Maybe David or someone, Eppelsheimer, could help me find the next person who's for. Is there anyone else speaking for?
We have
Raise
two. We have two
thank
more.
you, Rachel.
No worries. We have two more point of orders. I don't know if they digitally raised their hand, but Tom Martin, I think, was doing a point of order to call for the vote, and Sherry Williamson is also doing that.
Oh, got it. So it's my understanding that you raise your hand and you get in line just like those speaking for or against, and then you can call the question. Am I correct in that, parliamentarian?
That's correct.
Okay, great.
Doesn't you have to have 3 people in a row?
Anybody can call the question, or 3 people speaking for or against in a row. So then I invite Pastor Erica Spate.
Hello, everyone. Erica Spate, Story Dwelling Bend. I'm in the car with my family on the way to feed the alpacas at Smith Rock. So I can't come off of my video, but I want to reiterate what others have said, in which this is an access issue at this point. We have vote by mail in Oregon to increase access, and that is also controversial. But yes, I think we have decided that if it increases access, it is a good thing. So I appreciate the conversation. I think it's a good one, but already access has diminished. I know that Story Dwelling folks, we have a strong showing this year, but about half of us have had to leave at this point. And that's a younger demographic, a more diverse demographic that we are now losing because of this conversation. So I don't think that this has to set a precedent forever. An experiment doesn't need to set a precedent. We can evaluate after, but evaluating in the moment unexpectedly is harmful to access. Thank you.
Thank you, Pastor. Please unmute yourself if you would, if you'd like to speak for the amendment. Okay, is there any speaking against? You might be in the list of participants, but I'm struggling to see it. Okay, if you're in the line, you can call the question. And is it Tom Martin who was hoping to do that first? Tom Martin, the floor is yours. Please introduce yourself.
Thank you for all the hard work that's gone into the assembly, and I am calling for a vote.
So Tom Martin, Central Portland, has called the question. It's been a while since we've done this, but I think even calling the question requires a second. David Swartling?
Yes, that's correct.
Yes. Is there a second to ending debate and voting on that, calling the question?
I second the vote.
Great. Okay. It's been moved and seconded that we end debate. So just to be clear, we're not voting on the amendment. We aren't voting on the rules. What we're voting on is ending debate. And there is a yes/no button under reactions. Do you see the green check? Oh, or the red X?
Got it.
Okay, and we'll give you a little extra time if you need help finding it. But we now can vote. Voting is open simply for the question which has been called. So, should we end debate on the proposed amendment? If you think debate should be ended, push the green check mark. If you think we should continue speaking, click the red X. Looks like many folks are still looking for those buttons. So it's under React, which is at the bottom of your screen. Ending debate is green. Continuing debate is red. Many of you have voted, but not all. We'll give it another minute. Okay, voting is now closed, and the motion to end debate has passed. So now we are voting on the amendment as proposed, which is in the chat, I believe. It is cutting the majority of section 6, C6. Is that correct?
Yes.
Okay, thank you. So clear your checks so that your voting is fresh. Go down to React and click again if you have a green or a red.
Is this going to be a poll?
I don't know. I was thinking we would just use green and red again.
Okay.
This will be voting on the amendment, not the rules themselves, but the amendment to the rules, proposing to cut a chunk, C6. And if everyone has cleared, have you all cleared? It looks to me, I still see a few greens, but not too many. Clear your greens or your red votes so you can vote again. Don't vote until the chair says voting is open, please. This vote requires a simple majority, correct, parliamentarian?
Correct.
Correct. Okay. Voting is now open. But if someone would want to abstain, I see that point of clarification, you can just not vote. We are voting, as I said, not on the rules, but on the amendment to the rules. Voting is now open. So a yes vote, the green check means yes, you would like that amendment to be made. A red X means you would prefer that the rules are not amended. Vote now. Okay, we have a pastor who says she's on her mobile phone, so we will count one check, one more check. Looks like it's going to be close. We'll need to have folks make
Bishop?
sure you get to vote. Pastor Binja, is this a question of clarification or point of order?
It seems Sister Cora is also on the phone and is voting, is looking, can't find the reactions. So
Okay, so
yeah.
so Sister Cora, you can put that in the chat as well, and we'll factor it in. Thank you.
Oh, I'm sorry. I don't want to double vote. I do have a check. I was just letting Pastor Sina know how I got my check.
Got it. Thirty more seconds.
I'm seeing several people in the chat say that there isn't a yes/no capacity on mobile and they can't vote.
We will factor those in, those of us who are counting. Thank you, Kay. And I know that someone on my team is counting. It looks like there's a public service announcement in the chat box, which says worship has been moved to 11. Voting is ended. We will now count the votes. Thank you for voting and engaging, everyone. Don't remove your vote yet. Still counting.
Somebody needs to report. It's 49.
Yes, who has been counting, and please report. Okay, we have one report from my staff, 49 in favor of this amendment. 89 against. So the amendment has failed, and we go back to debating the rules of the assembly themselves. The rules of assembly come from the Synod Council, and they are presented as originally presented to you in your packet. We don't need a second because they come from the council. Raise your hand, your electronic hand, if you'd like to speak to those. And I'm looking again for the hands.
It is ready now.
Seeing no hands raised, we will now vote on the rules of assembly as presented to you from your Synod Council. Make sure you eliminate all of your checks and X's so that we can vote fresh.
Bishop, it looks like there's a call in the chat that got missed.
Can you read it for us?
It's not mine. I'm just pointing it out.
I know, but it's hard to have the participants in the chat open. Is it possible to read it?
Pastor Carl Hansen says in the chat, I call for the division of the house.
Oh. David Swartling, this is your area.
Given the nature of the vote, there's no reason to call for division because it is clearly defeated. So with the defeat of the vote, we go to vote on the main motion, which is, as you described, the rules as proposed by the council.
Okay. Great. So it looks like most of you have cleared your screens. So now the vote before you is on the rules of assembly as presented. Voting is now open. A check green means you accept. Oh, yes, it's clearer. There's a poll before you. Yes means you accept the rules. No means no. 30 seconds. Okay, the poll has ended. The rules of assembly pass. 77% vote in favor, 16% no, 7% abstain. The rules of the assembly are adopted. The proposed assembly agenda has been published online on the Oregon Synod website and shared via email on the 16th. The chair will now entertain a motion that the published agenda and schedule be adopted as the order of the assembly. This comes to you from the Synod Council and does not require a second. Is there any speaking to the agenda as proposed?
Yes, Bishop Lori. Reverend Dr. Mark Knudsen, can you hear me?
Yeah, let me just make sure I get the electronic hands up so that we're fair. Are you the first one in the list of participants? Okay, yes, the floor is yours. Please introduce yourself.
Reverend Dr. Mark Knudsen, Senior Pastor, Augustana Lutheran Church. I want to offer a change to the agenda that would include a resolution to save a church that's on the verge of being sold. We're in a crisis in the ELCA, as you know. We've gone from 120 to 92 churches in Oregon, and that's happened across the nation. We've done a lot of work on holy closure, but I saw nothing on the agenda about the rebirthing and renewing of our congregations. I know there's different programs, but they're not the kind that we develop. Right now, we're on the verge of losing St. Mark's, Portland, one of the most iconic Lutheran churches in this synod. Martin Niemöller spoke there after the war. Benjamin Mays, Dr. King's mentor, spoke there before. Had the first infant toddler child care center in the state of Oregon that mainstreamed also young children with disabilities. It was the church that shut down the Mount Hood Freeway because the pastors there knew that our African-American colleagues, where I-5 came through Albina and destroyed the neighborhoods Augustana is at today. And so St. Mark's stood up against the city, and we have mass transit today because the church was the key to shutting it down. We have so many things that can be done. And I don't speak this theoretically. I spent 8 years as churchwide director of youth ministries. I only had to challenge my bishop, Herb Chilstrom, a few times on budgets for youth ministry and justice and hunger education. And Bishop Laura, you know I've been a cheerleader for all of our bishops in Oregon and our Synod Council.
Excuse me, Pastor, I'm being told this is out of order based on the rules as
How do
adopted.
I get something added to the agenda?
Is that in order or out of order, parliamentarian?
I wrote a resolution that was rejected.
Wait, please pause. We're asking the
Based-
parliamentarian for clarification.
The rules just passed, provided that when the rules are adopted, you would move immediately to a vote.
Okay, so changing
the resolution.
changing the agenda to incorporate those would violate the rules of assembly as adopted.
Right, and any proposed new or modified resolutions should be addressed to you specifically and then referred to the Referencing Council Committee and/or the Synod Council.
Very good.
Well, by then the church will be sold, unfortunately. We'll have a desert of churches in Southeast.
I'm so sorry, Pastor. Kay Lowe, is there speaking to this agenda? Please introduce yourself.
Hi, Kay Lowe, also Augustana Lutheran. At the beginning of the chat, it said like email new memorials and resolutions to Jemaine McKenna, Oregon Synod. I did that on behalf of Pastor Mark, so I won't say anything else, but that's
okay. Thank you. It sounds like that was a surprise to her. I heard ooh.
And the Synod Council did not address this a week ago, and this is going up for sale tomorrow. So some were asleep on the switch, all of us. And
right. Thank you. Thank you. Hold that thought. We'll let the parliamentarian help us through this, Pastor.
The deadline for memorials and resolutions has passed. With the passage of the order of assembly, the next order of business is to call for the vote.
Mm-hmm.
While the issue may be timely, the process is that it needs to go through you, then through either Referencing Council or the Synod Council.
Okay.
And David, it never made it to the Referencing Council. I'm sorry. It was summarily dismissed. So here we are. Let's close some more churches, y'all. The members of St. Mark's tried very hard. I'm cheering them on. But as a Synod, we have a responsibility to each other.
We do. And we have many responsibilities, and sometimes they're cross purposes. So we will go forward with a vote on the agenda as presented and continue with our meeting. And we can very much continue this important conversation. So voting is open for the agenda as presented by your Synod Council. And there will be a poll for you in one moment. I should have said 30 seconds, so that will be closed soon. Make sure you vote. Voting is now closed. I call upon the Synod Vice President to share the results of the vote on the agenda.
There are 111 votes in affirmative and 15 votes in the negative and 16 votes abstaining. The motion passes.
Thank you, Paul. The affirmative has it and the order of assembly is passed, and the rules of the assembly have passed. With the adopting of these, we will now conduct the remaining business using single ballots, which we will launch shortly. Since we made space for discernment in April and discussion, we will not be entertaining discussion right now, but moving directly into voting. This reminder is that we'll be voting to adopt the proposed budget for the upcoming fiscal year 27, to adopt 2 different proposed resolutions for our synod, adopt the required constitutional changes to the Synod Council, to the Synod Constitution, and elect individuals into uncontested open positions to serve the larger body of the Synod. A poll will be launched in a moment. You will have different votes. Here you go. Voting is now open. Please vote. I see that some of you are voting in the chat because you have to. That's fair. We will add those in. That's because some of you are on iPhones. If you can vote in the poll, please do. Okay, voting is now closed.
On the question of whether or not to adopt the 2027 budget, there are 125 votes in the affirmative, 5 votes in the negative, and one abstention.
Oh, I tried to vote, but my computer wouldn't let me submit for some reason.
Okay, you can put it in the chat and we'll try to figure that out.
Oh, the chat is closed.
Oh.
Chat's back open.
Chat's back open. Intern Julia Rankin, do you have a point of order or point of clarification?
I just have a quick question. If we were not able to finish voting all the way because we were not given a time limit of like we have 30 more seconds, pulling screens open, trying to get things figured out, can we finish our voting in the chat? Because I was not able to get to the last 2 questions as I was going through the PDFs.
I apologize. Yes, I see David Epplesheimer nodding. Thank you.
I had the same experience. This is Peggy.
So sorry. I'm not trying to silence you. I'm trying to make sure that those who will be joining us for worship have a time that works. So thank you for letting us know. Put in the chat. This will just take a minute. Put in the chat if your voting got truncated.
I see 2 yeses in the chat that indicate that maybe all 5 were yeses because they didn't specify.
Yes, it's just taking me a few seconds to figure out where, like I have to now go to the PDF and pull up the exact things because they're not listed out anymore for us.
Right.
Yeah.
We have an additional yes on 5. Number 5.
And while we're getting this clarification, as your bishop, I'd love to invite you to go back to the packet, the handbook that you received, and read the bios and the hopes and dreams of those that we are electing to serve on different teams, committees, our Synod Council. It's impressive, it's inspiring, and it's a reminder that the Synod is all of you. It's not this office. This synod is over 95 congregations, ministry starts, campus ministries. It's an inspiring read, and I encourage you to print it off and read it, or read it now as we wait.
Additional yeses for 4 and 5.
I'm grateful that our synod vice president is a retired surgeon who is not afraid of math, because he's the one who will need to be adding these things. Thank you, Paul. And you tell us when you're ready.
Okay. So, Pastor David, I have one more on yes on number 4 and one more yes on number 5. Is that correct?
Yes, that's correct.
Okay. So voting is closed on the question of whether to adopt the 2027 budget. There are 125 votes in the affirmative, 5 in the negative, and 1 abstention. The affirmative has it, and the proposed budget is adopted. On the question of whether or not the required constitutional changes to the Oregon Synod Constitution, there are 121 in the affirmative, 5 in the negative, and 5 abstentions. The affirmative has it, and the constitutional changes are adopted. The question of whether to elect the nominated individuals to open positions of 2026, there are 127 in the affirmative, which is 127 in the affirmative, 4 in the negative, and no abstentions. The affirmative has it, and the individuals are elected. On the question of whether to adopt the resolution for courageous public witness and support for immigrant and refugee communities, there are 119 in the affirmative, 10 in the negative, and 3 abstentions. The affirmative has it, and the proposed resolution is adopted. On the question of whether to adopt the resolution regarding LGBTQIA plus representation on the candidacy committee, there are 110 votes in the affirmative, 15 votes in the negative, and 7 abstentions. The affirmative has it, and the proposed resolution is adopted.
Thank you, Paul. I think we should all breathe a minute. Thank you. Thank you for your patience in this process. Thank you for your participation. It means you care about our church. It means you care about your voice, and it means to me you care about working together with one another. So the votes have been recorded, and this voting is now complete. The results in all their details will be shared with you and the synod via email in the next week. A special congratulations to the new council, committee, and board members. They will help us help you as we walk together in Christ's courageous love. I'm grateful for the synod council, all of you leaders who are here, all of you who rise up to help us live into God's dream for a ministry together. I want to say a huge thank you to all of those who helped bring this assembly together. There's a lot of work behind the scenes, as most of you know. Especially, I'd like to thank Synod Council Vice President Paul Stromberg, our Synod Council Secretary, Victoria Hart, and especially because this is his last assembly, our outgoing treasurer, Mark Dickman. Maybe we could we give jazz hands? I now declare this assembly closed. Peace be with you, my siblings in Christ. We have exactly 4 minutes before worship begins. Don't forget to get your communion supplies, a glass of water. Even if you haven't signed up yet to join us for that assembly, you can do so on the Synod Assembly webpage. That's OregonSynod.org, and then you put in assembly, or in the link just added to the chat. We hope to see you there. Blessings in the name of the three-in-one God, who is creator, redeemer, sustainer, and lover of us all. Thank you.